Hello everyone, welcome to the presentation of our research Wine Traceability and Counterfeit Reduction, blockchain-based application for a wine supply chain. In this research we develop an approach towards wine traceability with main objectives on combating counterfeit and increasing brand reputation by assuring the origins of wine to the final consumer. So we built an architecture for a blockchain-based system to track and record all the main transactions between the supply chain participants from the moment that grapes were harvested until the moment when the final consumer is making a decision to purchase the wine. So this is the outline of our presentation today. We will talk about blockchain technology in the context of supply chain management, what are the main features that are allowing supply chains to be more efficient. We will also see what are the potentials that blockchain holds for small and medium businesses. Also, one of the main novelties in this research is the introduction of a specific smart contract that can be used for wine traceability. So we will introduce you to the smart contract concept. Then a little bit about the wine production, how does wine production supply chain look like, and what are the current counterfeiting challenges that the industry is facing with. Then we'll move to our application case, and in conclusion we will also give some suggestions for future research. So let's start with what is blockchain technology and what it can bring to us in the supply chain management context. So blockchain technology is a distributed ledger technology, which is an immutable database of information about each transaction that is shared across a network of participants. This technology is based on the concept of decentralization and disintermediation, which basically means that data may be collected, stored, and updated in a dispersed way by all network participants. And this kind of architecture enables actors to store and exchange data in a synchronized manner, at the same time guaranteeing the integrity of data. So on figure one on the right side, you can see the main features of blockchain technology, and these features are essential in the context of improving supply chains. So transparency of that blockchain technology brings basically means that any network participant may see all recorded transactions at any time, and this is why blockchain is considered a trustworthy technology. Then when we talk about immutability, blockchain guarantees that all data is completely unalterable and uncorruptible. And when we talk about autonomy, this is related to the fact that blockchain is a consensus-based system and it is available to all network participants and guarantees the same information access and visibility throughout all the participants. The anonymity of blockchain technology basically means that as long as the entity's blockchain address is known, the transaction may be anonymous. This technology is a very secure one, so data security in terms of information sharing is guaranteed for blockchain-based applications, as it is a tamper-proof technology. And decentralization, this is the main idea and this is the main nature of blockchain technology. So by its nature, blockchain eliminates the need in a central entity that is usually responsible for transactions verification. So the system built on a blockchain basis is completely decentralized. Blockchain also holds a lot of potential for small-medium businesses. So small-medium businesses are usually the ones who lack the resources necessary to engage in new technologies and are usually the ones left behind when technological leap happens. So blockchain technology holds a potential to help small and medium businesses, and one of the potentials is to innovate and gain advantage through the blockchain transformation using and developing applications such as decentralized applications, or they're also called D-apps. So basically, small and medium businesses in many kinds of different sectors can create their own applications based on a decentralized logic, and this type of applications can bring together all the main stakeholders and can bring transparency for the final consumer. For now, there are some examples of applications cases for the small and medium businesses in such industries as marketplaces for renting and selling properties, the insurance services, the freight movement and logistics, and many more. So the application that we're going to introduce today, the wine application, is also based on the idea of using it through a small and medium businesses. So the smart contracts are the essential part of blockchain technology, and it's one of the biggest innovations that blockchain technology brings. And basically, smart contracts can be described as digital protocols that automatically execute contract terms. And the use of smart contracts eliminate the need in third parties. And usually those third parties were executing transactions. And as a result, since there is no third party needed, it improves the supply chain efficiency. So smart contracts provide transparency and they improve trust among stakeholders. Here on the figure 2, you can see the difference between the traditional centralized approach or system of contracts, which basically is signified by the existence of a third party. So the third party was supposed to always execute contract terms and execute transactions in the way that contract terms are met. Right now, in a decentralized blockchain-based systems, there is no need for a third party, basically because as long as a smart contract is well written in the sense that it does not have errors in the coding, it means that every time that system sees the contract terms are met, smart contract will verify itself. So there is no need for a third party, therefore it can be much more faster, more efficient for supply chains, and also eliminates this reliance on the third party. And our application is also based on the smart contract architecture for wine supply chains. So when we talk about wine production, there are all kinds of activities that are included in the transformation of grapes into wine, and numerous stakeholders that are involved in the production process, and the 5 basic stages that are used to making wine, so we can see them as also different activities. These are the harvesting, crushing, fermentation, pressing, aging, and finally bottling the wine. So it all starts from harvesting the grapes, and it starts with the raw material stage, so the grape harvesting itself. Then it goes throughout all the necessary procedures in order to produce wine and give it to the bulk to the wine distributor. So this is only an example of a wine production flow, but of course after that there are many more stakeholders involved, the transporters, warehousers, retailing points, and so on. One of the biggest challenges in the wine industry today is counterfeiting. So by itself, wine counterfeiting has many edges, from production fraud to wine investment fraud, but the main losses that counterfeiting brings are the 2 types: human losses and financial losses. By human losses, it is meant that there is a poisoning result from buying an unauthorized wine. So, for example, earlier this year, 26 people died and 80 people had heavy poisoning after consuming counterfeit alcohol in Dominican Republic. There was also a big situation in Turkey in 2020 where people died after consuming counterfeit homemade alcohol that was containing ethyl. So basically it is risky for the health of the consumers of wine. From the other hand, there are also financial losses. So there is around 3 billion euros in sales losses every year across all European Union due to the fact of counterfeit wine and other spirits. And this leads not only to sales losses in terms of money, but also in such consequences as workplace reductions for registered manufacturers and so on. So we build our system around the idea of reducing the counterfeit chances for the wine production. And now let's move to our application case. So our application is based on a DML smart contract language. This is an open source smart contract language, and it represents, in terms of virtual shared ledger, it can identify different people who may write events and different events that would be distributed. So we chose this language for its uniqueness and also for its simplicity for such cases. When we talk about the smart contract itself, we identified three main parties: the manufacturer, transporter, and the owner. In order to clarify, this smart contract architecture is not limited to three parties. So the owner basically is any consecutive player of a supply chain. So owner role can be explained as any consecutive party, and if the application has more than 4 stakeholders, any party that is going to take the ownership of the wine in the next stage is considered an owner. So the general smart contract architecture for our application looks like following. So let's keep in mind that we have manufacturer, transporter, and owner is any consecutive party. And now let's see the main players that we identified for our application. So it all starts from the moment that wine is processed and the physical bottle is created at the manufacturer stage. Manufacturer therefore transfers the ownership to the owner by the use of smart contract. So the next owner is the next consecutive party, which is a warehouser. So once warehouser accepts the ownership transfer, it would change the holder to the transporter. And transporter is further accepts the holdership and transits wine to the next stakeholder, registering the delivery and assigning it to the next respective owner. So in our application, the next respective owner would be a retailer. Retailer receives ready bottles and further sells it to the final consumer. So it is also very important for us to clarify that in our application, the last block would be created by the retailer. Final consumer is not going to create any new block. Final consumer is only going to be able to trace all the records of ownership change and transactions that took place, starting all the way from the production stage at the manufacturer. Like this, final consumer can be assured with origins of each particular bottle that he or she can find at the shelves of the retail point. And it creates the full visibility for the final consumer, and it also brings improvements in several factors. First of all, anti-counterfeiting measures would be met, since smart contract is triggering and recording transactions that meet a predefined protocol, and the assurance of wine safety and originality can be guaranteed. Second, it also improves the visibility for final consumer. So final consumer can trace backwards the full production and distribution related transactions that are stored on the blockchain technology network records. This data is tamper-proof, it is immutable, therefore final consumer can be sure that data is veridical. And the third improvement that this application brings is the strengthening of a brand reputation. So basically the idea is that final consumer would be satisfied with the possibility to trace a bottle backwards to the origins. Therefore, the brand reputation would be much more stronger in the eyes of the final consumer. To sum up, we would like to say that the use of Demiel language can actually bring advantages in terms of its simplicity. It allows to see all transactions and clearly track the final product since the moment that it was just a raw material. And blockchain-based system helps to track all these records and main transactions and know the origins that will further avoid health risk chances that counterfeit wine can cause to the final consumer. So like this, traceability may even boost and increase an overall wine brand reputation, also assuring health, safety, and avoiding health risks for the final consumers. And as a future research suggestions, we would like to suggest applying the proposed system in practice. And in practice, to see the actual level of an end consumer satisfaction. Also, it can be used a different smart contract language in order to test what would be the most appropriate one. But since this application has the three main players and the owner can be any consecutive player of a supply chain, it also brings advantages in terms of simplicity and in terms of universality in order to apply it to any kind of use case. So we thank you for your attention. Please feel free to give your comments, feedback, and ask questions.